This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. Hey, what's going on, Ram fans? Mark from Rams Up here. Got my pregame pulse. Taking a look at this Rams-Vikings game one last time. Flying solo tonight, and for good reason. Paul is busy putting family in front of Ramley, apparently, and Ian pretty tied up with some stuff too. So I'll take a look at this game by myself, share some thoughts. And hey, before we get started, let's take a look at the wild card scores. We talked about the Saturday games during my 18 observations, so I'm not going to rehash that. That was the podcast I dropped late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So not going to get into those games. Chargers, quite the bummer, could not get past the Texans. Steelers got run over by the Ravens and Derrick Henry. The Bills took care of the Broncos, and the Eagles over the Packers. And, about that Eagles-Packers game, a couple of things stood out to me. One, it didn't amount to anything, but it's one of my pet peeves. Why are the Packers fair catching a ball with 14 seconds left in the half at their own 11-yard line? A lot of teams do this, and I just don't get it. It's such a risky thing to do. And the other thing I noticed about this game, my other comment is, that fumbled ball at the beginning of the game, it looked to me like the Packers had recovered it on the replay, but Brad Allen and replay ruled otherwise, could not overturn it. Something about Brad Allen, I don't know, he could be a highly rated referee, but he kind of strikes me as, his crew just makes a lot of bad calls, it seems like. Maybe they're just more memorable. But this was another one. I thought that ball belonged to the Packers. And then we went chalk until that Sunday night game. The Commanders taking care of the Bucs. Really costly fumble by Baker Mayfield late in the game there. So, it turns out Dan Campbell was wrong after all. He will not be seeing the Vikings in 2 weeks as he predicted or hoped. It'll be the Commanders going to Detroit. And let's take a look at those games next week. Everything kind of settling in here. The Texans at the Chiefs. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites, over under 42.5. That's the Saturday early game. The Saturday late game. Commanders at the Lions. I see different odds here. My special assistant has been checking on that for me, and he saw 10 points on one side, 8.5 on another. So I don't know what the odds are exactly, but it's going to be in that 9 to 10 point range. Apparently, the over under 56. So yeah, pretty high over under, and that kind of makes sense. You're looking at a 32 to 23 games, something like that, 32 to 24. So, Commanders have a shot here, though. They have some magic working for them. And then the Sunday morning game will be the winner of the Vikings-Rams game at Philadelphia. And then the final game, probably the most attractive, at least as far as the NFL and the networks are concerned, the Ravens at the Bills. Bills slight favorites at home, and over under of 51.5. I think there's going to be some points scored in that game. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of you guys, a lot of Rams fans, including Ian and Paul, really wanted the Lions. But the more I think about it, I was hoping that there'd be a scenario where the Rams play the Commanders. Everybody wants the Rams to cross paths with the Lions, and the earlier the better because they are kind of banged up and they're getting healthier. But I don't know if I'd like to see our Rams deal with Ben Johnson and the Lions coming off a bye, basically. Um, I think this Philadelphia team is a little bit vulnerable. Their offense really struggled against the Packers, and if not for a couple of really big plays that went against the Packers, the play I mentioned already, the one play, Packers might have won that game. Eagles offense did not impress me despite the final score. So there you have it. That's what the schedule will look like next week. We're hoping it is the Rams at the Eagles at this point, and I'm sure the Rams would be significant underdogs, but still interested in seeing how that plays out. Now, I put together a list here of the chances of teams winning the Super Bowl at this point, and you know what? The top three teams in my mind right now are the AFC teams. I really, I have a lot of respect for the Lions, but I think the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs are the three best teams in football right now, followed by the Lions and the Eagles. And I put the Rams a notch above the Vikings and Commanders. You could probably group them all together, but that's how I feel about it right now. If I were to rank these teams, my 8 remaining teams, I don't have the Texans on here. Texans would be the number 9 team. I don't think they really have a shot. I didn't think the Commanders had a shot before tonight, before this weekend, but I think they do. That's how I would rank them. And that's how I feel about their chances of winning the Super Bowl at this point. That's how I'd have them ranked. I think the AFC is looking pretty tough right now. So let's get into the Rams-Vikings game. Look at the injury report. Outside linebacker Patrick Jones is ruled out for the Vikings, and Cam Akers, the ex-Ram running back, came up sick on the injury report, listed as questionable. I'm sure he'll end up playing. I certainly would expect him to be active anyways. And defensive lineman Taki Taimani also questionable. The Rams, a clean injury report as far as 53-man roster goes. They're monitoring Rob Havenstein's shoulder. Hunter Long banged up that knee against Seattle. They're both full go. Now, what's missing from this injury report, of course, are the guys on IR. You have Blake Corum for the Rams. Darion Kendrick's been out all year. Nick Hampton missing from special teams, who's on IR. And the Vikings, they lost Christian Darrisaw, their left tackle, replaced him with Cam Robinson. And then, of course, J.J. McCarthy, the rookie quarterback, he's out. So, but of the 53-man roster of those guys, this is what the injury report looks like. Both teams fairly healthy is what it's really telling us. And the Rams, of course, John Johnson coming off IR to give the secondary boost. Not that they need it. I don't know how much he's going to contribute this week. Maybe not at all. But there you have it. There's the 53-man roster. The injury report going into this game.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
We're so done with New Year, New You. This year, it's more you on Bumble. More of you shamelessly sending playlists, especially that one filled with show tunes. More of you finding Geminis because you know you always like them. More of you dating with intention because you know what you want. And you know what? We love that for you. Someone else will too. Be more you this year and find them on Bumble.
And hey, 8 years ago today, this was shared by Alan Sales on Twitter. The Rams, I recorded this Sunday night, of course. This is a Sunday drop. And 8 years ago, as of Sunday, Sean McVay was hired. What does it mean? Probably absolutely nothing, but I wanted to share that. And what else we got here? Arash Markazi, our friend on Twitter, he shares some good stuff. Rams going all out to make this feel like a home game for the Rams. I don't know what the crowd split's going to be. Hopefully Ram fans show up, but the Ram logos, Ram paintings on the field, handing out Ram towels at the gate, all that good stuff. But other than the stadium and other than the state, it's going to look and feel like a Ram home game. The only question is what that crowd is going to look like. What is going to be the split as far as, how many Viking fans are going to show up? And hopefully if they do show up, they behave themselves. But hey, we've all heard Minnesota nice, right? Hopefully it'll be a nice, friendly game. And given the situation the Los Angeles Rams and their fans have been placed in, hopefully a lot of Ram fans show up and it really does feel like a home game. That would be awesome. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have my keys to victory. What are my keys to victory? Well, the first thing is let's look at when the Vikings have the ball. The first thing we have to do is make Sam Darnold miserable. If that means, we'll bring 4 guys, 5 guys, sometimes 6 occasionally. Sam Darnold hangs onto the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think that's going to change. If it does, if we make him speed up his clock, that could very easily turn into turnovers. We saw what the Lions did to him. Now the Vikings are probably preparing for the Rams to try to emulate that, to copy that, bring some intense heat. Rams are probably going to do it a little bit differently, though, but we need to make him uncomfortable. That was really unsettling for Vikings fans, I'm sure, to see how that game against the Lions played out. And hey, Sam Darnold, a lot of pressure on him in this game. And the other thing we got to do is deny Jefferson as much as possible. He's probably going to get his 80 to 100 yards for sure. Let's hope it's not a lot more than that. He can destroy a defense. Let's not let that happen. We've seen the Rams get hurt significantly by really good receivers, and hasn't happened in a while. We've been better in that regard, but yeah, that's probably got to be our biggest focus on defense is limiting Jefferson. And you know what? Every team that plays Minnesota probably has that plan going in. Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. And let's hope Jefferson doesn't punch the Rams in the mouth with some big plays, especially early. What else we got here? When the Rams have the ball, what do we got to do? Well, we got to adjust to Brian Flores. What is he going to do now? What the Rams did this week, as I mentioned on the last drop, is they had Sean Desai, the Rams assistant head coach, channel Brian Flores, review film, eyeball the Rams defense tendencies, all that stuff, and then ask the question, what would you do, Sean Desai, if you were Brian Flores, to try to slow this offense down, the Rams offense, and the Rams, Sean McVay and his staff would react accordingly. So we're going to have to adjust, though, because there's going to be some surprises coming at us from Brian Flores and his defense, and we got to be able to react to that. And, whatever plan we have going in, Sean McVay has to be willing to flex, and he's usually pretty good at that. Sometimes it doesn't happen until the second quarter, sometimes not till the second half, but hopefully we'll figure that out early, and we don't have any destructive plays on offense trying to figure out Brian Flores and his defense. Pretty good chess match between these two guys. And the other thing we got to do, the second thing when the Rams have the ball, is mix it up on offense. And I mean that in a couple of ways. I mean, we got to be creative. We got to run the ball. We got to pass the ball, jet sweeps, screen plays. What we saw when Mike LaFleur was calling the game against the Seahawks last week, we all, a lot of us really liked what we saw. Can Sean McVay learn something from one of his lieutenants and maybe pull some tricks out of his bag as well? And I also mean by mixing it up, get some more guys involved, a Jordan Whittington for perhaps, And it's been all over social media. A lot of people, a lot of Rams content creators on board with getting Jordan Whittington involved, even if it means taking some snaps away from the great Cooper Kupp. And, there's other ways of getting him involved. If, you run 12 personnel, maybe give Puka and Kupp a break, Whittington and Demarcus Robinson. You let Whittington run with Kupp and Nakua instead of Robinson. There's a lot of different things you can do. And dare I say, with Blake Corum out, I made a prediction last week. Whittington's going to get some behind the line of scrimmage touches, not necessarily as a true running back, but jet sweeps, screen plays. They're going to get him the ball. Got to get him on the field, though. Please, Sean, let's get Jordan Whittington involved. He brings a little bit of flash and speed and electricity that this offense has been missing, in my opinion. Got some thumpers at wide receiver, but I don't know. Whittington, it really excites me. And hey, maybe a little bit of Tutu Atwell as well. We're going to have to add a little bit of pizzazz to this offense, mix it up to beat these Vikings. And on special teams, two things we got to do. One is it's Joshua Carty party time. He has been looking so good over his last 13 field goals. I don't know how many games that covers, but really happy to see him settling in as a reliable kicker. And this is the dilemma you face in a game like this. You're at the 40-yard line, the 38-yard line, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, 4th and 4. What are you going to do? And it's a really big decision. If you're going to lean on Carty for the 3 points here, you better make it. The decisions that the Rams make in this situation, these situations, and the potential outcomes could go a long way to deciding this game. You give the ball to the Vikings with a missed field goal near midfield, really, really potent offense, not good. And, if he kicks them and makes the long field goals, obviously that's awesome. And if you decide you're not going to trust your kicker and you're going to do the Dan Campbell thing and go for it every time, that's risky as well. But yeah, so we'll have to see how that works out. Hopefully we can get Carty into, get into that 38 to 45 yard range where I'm very comfortable with him at that distance. And if he misses, it's not as destructive as a deeper kick. Now, the other thing we got to do is avoid destructive plays on special teams. We saw it in the Charger game. That extra point gone awry. Oh man, how bad was that? Could you imagine watching that game as a Charger fan? And they've gone through this so many times on field goals and such. 1 point for you, no, it goes 2 points the other way, and you're trying to come back, you're trying to get back into this game. And that play didn't cost them the game, but so deflating. You're trying to come back. And then we saw it on the opening play of the Packers-Eagles game, the biggest play of the game probably. The Eagles' offense was pretty dormant for most of that game, but they basically got a freebie 7 points because of that play there. So those are the things you have to avoid, the things we have to do on special teams to secure a win here. Now, final thoughts on this game. Rolling with my original prediction I shared on the roundtable, Rams 30, Vikings 23. But if you told me the Vikings were going to trounce the Rams, I wouldn't put up much of an argument. That could very well happen. And if you told me the Rams were going to roll, same thing. Could be a close game, could be a blowout either way. I have no idea, but I'm predicting a Rams win. They get past the Vikings. They move on to play Philadelphia in Philadelphia. In that scenario, I think the Rams would probably be 7.5, 8.5 point underdogs. Fair enough. Makes sense. But I think they have a shot in this one, certainly to get past the Vikings, and I think they'll have a shot against the Eagles as well. That's all I got. Go Rams. We'll have a post-game reaction video late Monday night, as soon as we can get it out. See you then, out here from Rams Up. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.